All right. I am here tonight with another episode of the Emerge webinar. And what the Emerge webinar is all about is that I we bring you investors, we bring you people that you need on your team. And so we try to give you investment strategies, we try to give you investment financing strategies, we try to give you acquisition strategies. We try to equip the real estate investor uh, to be successful. And again, this Emerge webinar is brought to you by Victory Capital. Victory Capital exists for one reason and one reason only, and that is to connect investors to capital. If you are a investor, if you're investing in residential or commercial properties, Victory Capital is the place. We can connect you to the capital that you need to fund the projects that you have. And so today, I'm very excited. I've been following this guy. I've been stalking him on on the on the internet. I even went so far as to drive out to one of the properties that he had, because I was just so excited to see someone doing what James is up to. And so tonight I have the pleasure of introducing to you and interviewing James Walker. James is a real estate broker. He's an investor. He's a developer. James, is there anything I left out? So if you can, James, introduce yourself and tell the Emerge audience who you are.
Okay, then. Yeah. Again, I appreciate you even having me on tonight. I really do. But like you said, I'm James Walker. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, is where I do a lot of my, I guess you can say, work that I feel that I was put in place to kind of fulfill a vision, if you want to look at it like that. But you pretty much had everything I do as of right now, which is really, I'm a broker for my own company, and I'm a broker for a partner of mine, which is I'm the broker of record for the Marine Group Realtors, and I do development on the south side of Fort Worth, which has to deal with building houses. I personally don't rehab houses, but I kind of push that off to other people and not buy and sell a lot of land over in the area because it's just a lot of land for sale. So that's pretty much what I do. I've been doing real estate for 15 years. I originally got into the business, and I was actually doing investment properties before the market crashed in 2008. And the funny thing about that is that me and my sister originally decided we wanted to get into real estate. And on our first deal, we got kicked off a Walmart parking lot because we was passing out flyers on cars, and you weren't supposed to do that. We didn't know that at the time. And the police came, kicked us off, but we was able to get one client from all those flyers we put on the cars. And she called us. We helped her out with a situation. Long story short, we made our first $25,000. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. So I've been in real estate ever since then. I was in the military, worked at the post office, quit the post office. And I quit the post office just because I talked to one of the managers there. And there's no knock to anybody that's working, whatever, but she had been there like almost 30 years, and she was about to retire. And I was like, well, so if you don't mind, how much are you making right now? And this was back in 2000, early 2000. And she said, well, I make 65, and she probably would make 70,000 by the time she finished, I guess, because she was a manager. And I was at that point in time, I was like, working is not for me. So I quit, and I got into the mortgage business. And then I got my mortgage license and my real estate license, and I was doing both, and I was working at Countrywide at the time. Yeah, so I did a little bit of mortgage, and then I got into just working with buyers and sellers, but my passion was always to pretty much own my own. I always had some type of business. Used to have a barbershop, a gym, clothing store. So I just felt like, owning a business just was the route for me to go. So got a real estate, been doing real estate ever since, enjoying it. Moved back to my hometown, which is the south side of Fort Worth. just like any other predominantly Black neighborhood, it needs a lot of work. So I just decided to, come back to the area and start buying land. And that's kind of what I'm doing. And I've turned on other people that's close to me, help them buy land. Helping investors. We, do projects together. I was able to build a client base of some, potential clients that I work with all the time. And I don't need a whole lot of clients because these 4 or 5 clients, like, they really keep me busy on top of the relationship I built with other clientele just buying traditional real estate. So been in this area, man, and we was buying property when it was $1,500 a lot. Of course, at $30,000 a lot now, but we was buying them then, and to believe it or not, we was buying them from the tax sale, which a lot of people didn't know about. And some of them lots I bought for $1,500, or less. I still got some of them to this day, which is like 6 years ago. So we was buying in. I taught a tax sale class also because I was trying to help a lot of us really learn, how do you purchase tax sales? What's the pros and cons, and how do you benefit from it? So I taught that for a few years until that market kind of dried up a little bit. But and that was still on that particular side of town, Fort Worth, where I'm working at now. And then got into just the building part. It's something I always wanted to do. And right now we've built our first house, actually, which is completed now. We're going to start on 3 more. And on top of me starting that 3, I'm also starting on a commercial project. So a lot of blessings just start coming in, once you start doing certain things. So I'm just proud and glad that I'm able to kind of fulfill the vision that, was kind of put up on me to try to, live out. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Okay. Sounds good. So man, that actually gives us a great segue into where I would like to start, because I first of all say I truly admire what you're doing in going back to the south side of Fort Worth, because just like you, I'm from the south side of I'm from the Fair Park area, and so
Okay.
I used to how I started was in investing in the Fair Park area, trying to do exactly what you're doing, and I met head on with that crash in '08. So
Right.
so I can definitely identify with what you are trying to do. So let me ask you this: so why, out of all of the different investment strategies, buy and hold, fix and flip, and all of that, why did you choose the new development, new construction route?
That was something that I've always wanted to do, honestly, just because when I moved I live in where I live at now out in Mansfield. When I first moved out here, I saw a lot of development that was taking place because I moved into a new subdivision as well. And when I moved into the subdivision, it wasn't completed yet. And that alone just kind of piqued my curiosity. And that was back in 2005. And, I just kind of looked at that and I was just like, man, one day that's what I want to do, a whole subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point on, keeping that thought in the back of my mind, I just kind of worked towards that goal and getting to that point. And I partnered up with a guy, which I'm partners with right now, that had the same vision. So we just basically, took what we wanted to do, put it on, paper and just, work toward it. So that was my goal. And of course, everything that I do is geared toward the south side of Fort Worth. So no matter what it is, if it's new construction or commercial, I want to take everything I see outside of that neighborhood and try to bring it into that neighborhood.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man. And I know one of the areas that I want to take advantage of, but I want to say this too. First of all, I'm a Mansfield resident as well, so
Right.
yeah, so we're neighbors in some shape, form, or fashion.
Right.
But I I've always enjoyed new construction, and but here's where I was going. So your love for the South Side of Fort Worth, where did that come from?
Grew up on the south side of Fort Worth. That's kind of where all that, and the story that I tell behind that, because with me growing up on the south side of Fort Worth back in, the late 70s, everything in our neighborhood, everything we needed was in our neighborhood, from the grocery store, the barbershop, the beauty shop, doctor's office, pharmacy. I mean, you name it, like you didn't have a reason to go outside of the community.
Mhm.
And I think that's what a true community is supposed to be like. You need everything you need is like right there in your community.
Mhm.
And I chose that area because that's what it used to be. And I think it could be that again.
Mhm.
It just need a little help in getting there. And I don't think nobody has the passion for your community as you do.
Mhm. That's good.
From your community where you even grew up at, you have a certain feel, a certain passion about that community because that's what you knew growing up.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's kind of it for me. Like, okay, I know this area. I mean, and you got the homeless over there. You got things that happen, and people outside that community can come over there and be like, hmm. I can see, but I have a certain feel about it and they feel uncomfortable. But for me, I don't care who house I go to over there, good, bad, ugly, and in between, I feel comfortable because I'm from that hood and I know what it used to be. And I know
Okay.
what it is right now, and I've dealt with some of the issues that it is right now, but it's not enough to drive me away from it.
Okay.
So,
That's awesome. Because man, I can tell you, I think that you must definitely have thicker skin than what I did. Because man, going back to the Fair Park area, man, I'll say this: I've learned some valuable investing lessons. I'll just say
right.
I've learned some valuable investing lessons, and and man, so much so to where after the crash, I just swore off. I was like, don't talk to me about real estate. Don't talk to me about fixing, flipping. I'm not fixing anything. I'm not flipping anything. And so but now I mean, I think I'm healed now. So I think I can
right.
learn. I've learned. So man, so speaking of which, so what's some of the pitfalls or the pros and the cons of this investment strategy of going the new construction route?
Some of the I'll start with some of the cons. Some of the cons with going the new construction route, especially when you're beginning, is just pretty much the lessons that you learn along the way of the unknowns of what may come about in regards to working with your trades and making sure they're on time and then also making sure that you got to deal with the weather, and then you got to watch your finances because you got a loan and a hard money loan, and you got to get things done in a timely manner. Time
Mm-hmm.
at that point, time is really money, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not working on my project in a timely manner and months continue to go by, at some point I'm going to be past my deadline and I'm going to have to be paying more than what I really anticipated on my budget. So now I'm eating into my profit. So that's to me, that's more or less the con, is just working with your trades and working with the other people. I mean, it's a lot into when you're talking about doing new construction. It's a lot of moving parts. If you're really trying to do it right, with us, we wanted to get an attorney involved. We want to make sure all our paperwork is right. We want to make sure, we sign paperwork with our trades and make sure they're bonded and insured. And if they're not, you need to sign, this documentation. So this is protecting us. So it's a lot involved, that could happen if you don't do all the right things, So, and then of course, the pros to it is the payout. So,
Right.
so that's, to me, to be honest with you. And for me, it's the payout, but then also I feel good about putting a good product in the area that I know that's going to eventually be something someday. So that's
Right.
kind of the payout for me.
So man, I can definitely tell you that you are miles miles ahead of where I was, because when I was over there, I think dealing with the trades was probably the most frustrating part of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you said that early on that you guys got attorneys involved, got the right paperwork involved, and see all of that, man, was just lessons that I had to learn the hard way.
Right.
And I
Right.
had and you know, and then also I'll say this too. Trying to cut too much cost can sometimes end up costing you a whole lot more
Right.
by using somebody that's not licensed, and you know, somebody that has a friend that has an uncle whose cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Those are
yeah.
never. I learned my lesson early on in that, and not in the building for his building, but in other areas. Like I don't want you to give me nothing for free. I just
Right,
don't. And I
right,
want to pay for. I don't want to necessarily pay for the highest amount, but you know I don't want the cheapest either. So
right.
let me be in between or a little bit high. I prefer to pay you
Yeah.
and get a good service because I've been on that end of the stick, and I don't like it. Even with my friends, like I have some agents that's up under me, and they be like, even if I need a notary stamp from them, they be like,
Mhm.
well, you ain't gotta pay me. I was like, no, I want to pay you because you deserve to be paid. Because when I want something done, I want to pay the person, and I want the stuff to be done right.
Right,
So,
exactly.
and that notary stamp is just $10, but
Right.
I'm trying to set the precedence that I want to pay you, and I
Mhm.
want you to know that I want to get paid, but I want to pay for a good service also. Because when you try to cut them corners, it just
No,
don't work
man.
out.
No, man.
It don't
Man,
work out.
I have the stripes on my back to show
Right.
that they don't work out, man. That they don't work out. So, man, let me ask you this. So, who are some of the early mentors that got you involved in this? That kind of whet your appetite to be successful, to want to come back to the South Side and do things. Are, are there any are there any people that was very instrumental in that?
For me coming back to my side of town, I didn't have anybody that was trying to like come back to my side of town that influenced me. There's a lot of people in the area that I watch but not influenced me. One person that influenced me that I watch all the time is Jay Morrison. Jay Morrison is a big real estate guy out in Atlanta.
Okay.
So, and he does a lot of things in the community. He travels all around. He does a lot of things. He's the one that started the Tussle Fund for Oklahoma. You know, they had the tussle where they bombed it and whatnot.
Yes, 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 yes.
So he started a fund for that. So I watch a lot of him, and I watch a lot of this guy by the name of Chris. He does the same thing that I'm doing on the
Mhm.
South Side, but he's doing it in the Fifth Ward of Houston.
Okay, okay,
So
okay,
those guys are the ones, and I follow them on Instagram. I don't know, Jay Morrison is kind of like on a grand scale,
okay.
but the guy Chris, he's a little bit ahead of me, a
Mhm.
lot ahead of me. But I still can communicate with him like, hey man, congratulations on what you're doing, and I can ask him, hey, so how did you do this or how did you do that? And he's willing to share. And I've never even met this guy. So,
Okay,
but
okay.
I follow people like that pretty much. But I watch a lot of different people to just be inspired by some of the things that they do locally, celebrities. Like I like a lot of things that Will Smith does. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a few different people that I watch on different levels. I mean, all the way down to I love how TD Jakes does his delivery. I love how Tony Robinson, he's a motivational speaker. E.T., he's a motivational speaker. So depending on where I'm at, I'm pretty much watching these guys all the time. If I'm not listening to them in the morning time while I'm getting ready to go work out or while I'm working out, or just, at the end of the night, reading a book or something, or just kind of capping my night with listening to something that they posted. So
Okay.
those are the people that I've kind of watched. I've had other mentors that kind of helped me. Actually, one of the guys that one of my investors that I've been working with for since I've been buying land and stuff, he doesn't know that he's a mentor to me, but he is.
Right.
Just because he's pretty much well off, and I've learned how to handle business watching him and some of the things that he done and some of the advice that he gave me. Like in the beginning, I had my LLC, and I was, thinking I was good, but I'm talking to this dude. I mean, of course, he got his business name, and he got a CPA, he got a financial advisor, he got all these arms, to his business. And I'm thinking, okay, this is why his business is so successful. So
Right.
I looked up to him as a mentor in that way, because I had to go do the same thing. I said, okay, if I'm gonna be considered a business, I need to have a CPA. So I had to go out and get me a CPA. I had to go out and get me an attorney. I had to go out and get me a financial advisor. So, and all these people got to be paid. So that means you got to be out here hustling and making this happen if you try to, reach this goal that you want. So
That's true.
It's for real. I mean, it's, and I commend these guys that's really, are out here really hustling and, making it happen. Now, I tell anybody, you can say you have a business, but just having a DBA does not mean you're a business. There's so much more that, is involved in that if you're really trying to get to another level. Because I was one of them guys that I didn't want to claim, all my taxes, because I wanted to get money back. And I had to flip that script real quick when I got into business, because you can't get no loans if you ain't showing you made no money.
Exactly. And man,
all up back in the day. So
yeah. And see, man, that's one of my soapbox moments, if you want to say, is I really want people to understand. 'Cause a lot of people, you hear them using different buzzwords now, like I'm a brand and I'm building a brand and all that.
Right.
But it's more to business than just getting an LLC, putting your name on some cards and going out here say I have my own business. There's a lot that goes into that, and I'm so glad that you are that way. And I used to not like the hard lessons that I've learned, but now I understand the lessons that I've learned now. Hopefully I won't ever repeat them, because I don't want to repeat that same incident again. And so so I am definitely more financially astute now, as far as how I'm handling the business funds and all of that. It's just, I mean, it's a lot. And so I'm just so glad to see that's something that you do. Here's a big thing I want to ask you. So since you're into the redevelopment or the development process, and I want you to also talk about your big development project that you're working on, but do you see that as gentrification or regentrification, or I'm not for sure which one is it? And if you, so what's your thoughts on it?
I go to a lot of neighborhood association meetings.
Okay.
And you can look, to me, gentrification really can take place. It just depends on who's doing it. It's not, I got off the soapbox of, whether it's white people coming in here and they're gentrifying our neighborhood. Anybody that has a vision for a neighborhood that needs some development is going to have to come in and do some construction. They're going to have to come in and put things in place that may necessarily cause your taxes to increase. And if that is the case, it's really not just all bad things, because once you have tax dollars, these tax dollars, if the taxing entity is doing what they're supposed to do, and sometimes it takes you to fight that, these tax dollars going into making sure your streets are, staying in top-notch condition. The tax dollars is going to help with a lot of things that's going to bring other people that want to come in and put grocery stores and things like that into the neighborhood. It is a sense of gentrification, because some of the price points that we are putting in the neighborhood is a lot higher than what some of the houses are worth. But at the same time, we're bringing tax dollars, to the neighborhood. So I don't really have a negative outlook on gentrification, because sometimes you need that, because if you don't, your neighborhood is going to continue to, look the way that it does. And you just really don't want that. I think every community would like to have the necessities and needs for that community, so that you don't have to drive far to a grocery store, or, you don't want to have to move out of the community because you don't have a good school, because, you don't have money for the schools. My cousin is a head basketball coach at one of the middle schools over here in the same neighborhood that I'm in, and she's a female. She was the first female to bring the school a championship for the basketball boys,
Okay.
8th grade boys. But the school didn't have money to give them a celebration, of congratulations. So we all, of course, chipped in and helped out. But I'm just like, why do the schools don't have enough money? And it's probably because they don't have enough tax dollars, or the kids are not attending school. So the school is not getting money for those kids that's not attending, so they don't have enough. So it's this whole big economic thing that needs to be, fixed for these communities. And it's going to take you to come in there and put some development there so that could take place. So I don't have a real negative outlook on gentrification. I kind of look at it a little bit differently.
Okay. So if you can, why don't you tell us, if you feel comfortable sharing it? I know that you have a big development project on the South Side that you're currently working on.
Yeah, I'll touch a little bit on that. It's a mixed use development.
Okay.
And it'll be retail on the bottom, and it's going to be apartments on top.
Okay.
One of the problems that I came across that I didn't know about is that it's a drainage issue if it rains real hard, according to the city.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you know anything about real estate and FEMA, typically you can't have a flood. If you have a flood area, and if it's recognized by FEMA, then of course you got other things you got to do. But this particular spot wasn't registered with FEMA. They said it's not a flood area, but the city said it was a flood area. So because of that, I had to make some changes and get some, I'm right now talking to a civil engineer because we got to do some different things with some drainage. But once that's all done, hopefully we'll have to go and be able to move forward. But it's going to be retail on the bottom, apartments up on top, and we're looking at probably about 100 units maybe, depending. We're going to do 3 floors or 4 floors. We haven't decided yet. It's just going to all determine, what it looks like for this drainage cost and what's going to make sense to be able to have, a lot of units or not a lot of units to be able to get my investors some return on their money. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And it's on the main corridor of Rosedale. I will say that. And there's a lot of things that we're working on, a lot of incentives from the city that we're trying to get. We're doing a lot of things. I'm on these Zoom calls probably. I'm doing more Zoom calls than I'm out here making money, and that kind of makes me nervous. But, I've been on a Zoom call with city council people, the city of Fort Worth, business partners, and, it's been a lot. So, I got to be like, dang, I got to schedule to do work instead of schedule to do Zoom calls. So
I know that's right. Well, good. Yeah. I am so excited about that. I actually had the opportunity to meet the developer that did the Walmart area and all of that. I met him, and that's what got me intrigued about the South Side. But then also I know that Stop 6 is going through some stuff also, and so And so I'm trying to get my foot in either one of those sections, or in both of them if I possibly can. So I'm going to start to kind of wrap up now. So James, currently now, what books are you reading, or what books would you recommend to this Emerge audience?
You know, it's funny. You know, we've been talking as I was sitting here thinking. Um, we've been talking about real estate all this time. You know, I don't read a whole lot of real estate books, believe it or not, other than when it's time for me to go, you know, renew my license or get another license. Right now, I'm trying to get certified to be a broker in Oklahoma just because I got some work that's going to be coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't read a whole lot of real estate books. Everything I read is more of a self-improvement type.
That's good.
So
Okay.
one of the books that I ended up picking up, I was that I thought that helped me out because I think with business and having a vision, a lot of times we or I, you know, slow to make a move, procrastinator, you know, however you want to look at. So I started reading this book called The 5 Second Rule.
Okay.
5 Second Rule is by the name of a lady by the name of Mel Robbins, and she talks about how a lot of times a lot of things are planted inside of us and it's at the forefront of our brain, but if we don't act on it or don't, you know, move on it at that particular time, we'll put it off and we'll go do something else, and then that's another accomplishment that we cannot get completed because we're not acting, you know, within that time frames. Because you say your brain kind of acts like a mechanism to protect you, to keep you, you know, doing certain things, but at the same time you have to act on the things that's right there in front of you and not wait. So, you know, if you're supposed to be doing something, don't say, oh, I'll go do it later. You need to do it now. So that kind of helped me out to be able to push a lot of things on, because a lot of times we can get bogged down on a day-to-day.
That's true.
And
That is so
my to-do list seems like it never ends, but I gotta, you know, keep moving. So that was one book. And then another book I was reading, it was called Small Habits and Big Changes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Stephen Handel. So it's just talk about all the small things mount up. You don't have to go out there and try to, you know, grab one big tree at a time. Pretty much, you can pick a leaf by leaf and take those small things and really, you know, cater to those, organize those, and really make those count. Because all those little things will continue to add up to one big thing. And that's how I had to look at the project that we were just talking about, because it was a big project. And it was a project that I initially didn't even want to start on because I was going to start on something smaller. But this one and everything that was happening kind of fell into my lap. So I just took it on. So I realized that don't get impatient and thinking that you got to do this all at one time, especially when I start talking to other people that done a project to my caliber, size or bigger, and all the things that they went through. Because I was on a project really helping somebody else do what I'm trying to do now. Is that how I learned how to do it? So I took this book and it helps me to be able to say, take, you know, things at in small chunks and just, you know, continue to build it up until you get to, you know, where you want it to be at without rushing and getting impatient. And then my last is Powernomics. And this, I got turned on to this book, Powernomics, by I don't know if you can see it.
I see it. Yeah.
Powernomics.
Yes.
So I watch a lot of Charlemagne the God. So and he had Claude Anderson on the Breakfast Club. And you know, they talked, and I just kind of I liked everything that he, you know, spoke about. It resonated with me. So because that's the type of person I am. So that's the book I'm reading now. Just kind of give a, you know, insight on, you know, who you are, who we are, where we come from, and you know how really the world operates. And if we're looking to be this big economic power, these are the things we as a people need to do and need to really pay attention to and move forward from there. So I read a combination of, you know, books like that. So I don't do a whole lot of real estate books, but a lot of my real estate stuff, I do watch YouTube. And just by me being in the business so long now, maybe early on I did. I just kind of, a lot of stuff I just kind of know and I just try to perfect it. And I do take some educational courses, but as far as reading, that's the stuff I try to read on a pretty consistently, if I can, at least one book a month.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So one other question. So, man, one of the things I'm just really, really that I find interesting in you is that as a real estate broker, you don't just depend on the sales from your agents, you go out here and create other opportunities. And one of the things that I've always noticed about most real estate sales agents is that their only source of income is the sale of a house. And if
Right.
they don't sell a house, they don't have any income. And so one of the guys I follow is a proponent of what he calls the investor agent. And these are agents that's also real estate investors such as yourself. And so what I wanted to ask you was, what advice do you have for real estate investors? And then what advice do you have for agents to duplicate themselves and to create additional streams of income?
Well, I would say, for most importantly, really to the real estate agents, you really, after I learned, you really get into real estate, not just solely to work with buyers and sellers, but to also, do your own real estate. Because that's really where you make your money at. You do have some agents out here that are extremely successful at being a real estate agent. So don't get me wrong there, because I know a couple of ladies that's just really killing the game. But at the same time, when I think about it, they do other investments too. So if you really want to be, really want to be successful in real estate, you should not only learn how to work with your buyers and sellers, but go out and learn other fields in the real estate industry, because it's a lot. Because you can buy houses and you can rent them, you can wholesale them, you can flip them, it's just you'll be amazed at how much you can do within real estate other than just buying and sell. And what I've learned for me was that I felt like I was always just chasing the next deal. And I don't want to be just chasing the next deal. And I wanted to broaden my knowledge of real estate, because I used to be a property manager for a bank, Coldwell Banker also. And with property management, I still got I got a check every 2 weeks for doing property management. And I was still, working with my buyers and sellers. So when I figured out, okay, you can do it all really, because it's all in the same realm, because it's not like you're, selling real estate and selling cars. Everything you're doing is real estate related. So you might as well broaden your platform and, do more different types of real estate. And then when I did property manage, I learned that. So I knew that like the back of my hand, and I could, help people. And, I formed my own little book for that. And then I got into wholesaling. And once you start getting into all these different arms of real estate, so you start getting all type of deals coming from everywhere. Like I said, people be sending me stuff now, and I'm like, let me see if I can get rid of it. Let me see if I can find somebody, and people call me. But once you start doing different things, you'll make a whole lot more. You'll be a lot more successful in real estate that way, with not so much stress on trying to chase your next deal. That's what I got to say to the real estate agent.
And how about to the real estate investor? Because part of my audience are new investors, part of them are seasoned investors. And so what would you say to the investor community?
Man, I don't think I have to say about the investors community is that if you have someone that's trying to learn the industry, reach out to them. Just help them. To me, I always think it's enough real estate out here for everybody. And if you're an investor, that means you've learned a lot along the way. So I would say, kind of give back. That's, because that's what I do. I mentor and stuff like that, because, I've made it to quote unquote being a real estate investor. Still not where I want to be, and I still got a long way to go, far as I'm concerned. But, I would say, reach back and try to, pull somebody up, or give somebody a lending hand, because if they made it to the investors circle, when I mean investors, I don't mean somebody saying, oh, okay, well, I'm looking to try to buy a house. I'm talking about people that are true investors that been in the game for a while. They got, plenty of relationships, plenty outlets on how to get money, all these resources. To me, that's a true investor. that done multiple deals. So, I would say just give back, help the next man coming up.
Okay. All right. Good deal. And so I want to also reiterate before we close, this Emerge webinar is brought to you today by Victory Capital. And Victory Capital would exist for one reason and one reason only, and that is to connect investors to capital for the projects that you need. So go check out www.victorycapital, and it's spelled VIKTORY, victorycapital.com. So James, I'm about to wrap up. Two last questions. So if somebody's coming into town and they're coming to spend time with James Walker, pre-COVID, I will say,
Right.
What restaurant would you take them to?
Oh man. You know what? Restaurant, for where I'm at, the first place I'm gonna take you to if you like barbecue is Smokeaholics, and it's like 2 blocks up from where I'm at. And he got
I seen that place.
Yeah, it's Derek Walker. He be sold out all the time. He got some of the I don't know a whole bunch of barbecue places that got good banana pudding, but
okay.
I would go there first just because he's in the hood and I'm always trying to get up there. I don't go as much as I want to because the line be so long. So
wow.
And then he be selling out. So yeah, I would take him to Smokeaholics. And if barbecue not that thing, then it's a spot that I go to that I like. It's called The Fixture. And it's on the other side of the freeway from where I'm at, which is in the hospital district. So
okay.
Kind of my spot. We go hang out there. They got real good food. The bar is good. So yeah, okay. But they just want to come. They want to hang out with me. We may be end up at the Smokeaholics barbecue spot right there on it.
I was over there. I seen Smokeaholics. I was like, wow, that looks like an interesting place. But obviously, the time that I drove by there, it was not open. So I see why. I'm gonna have to make sure I get by. All right, James. Final question, man. What would James now tell James at 18 years old? What would James now tell 18-year-old James?
Wow, just be more responsible and just know that if you have a goal or vision in mind, stick to that and don't just get distracted. Stick to your goals now. 20 years from now, you've been a totally different person than who I am now. If I started what I'm doing now at that age, 18, 32, it's 32, I'm a totally different person. I'm doing my life is totally different. So yeah, stick to your vision. Partying is not always, the best thing to do all the time. That's kind of what I'm, trying to instill into my son now is, I understand you want to kick it with your homeboys, but if you do this right now, once you get this age, you good. So that's what I would tell myself now. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So James, how can someone get in touch with you, man? What can we do to help you, man? I mean, how can we get in contact with you?
Be reaching out to me. You can. I don't mind taking phone calls. I was on the Steve Harvey show and gave my phone number out to the world.
What?
Yeah, me and my family, we auditioned for the Family Feud, and we went on the show. So it was
okay.
Yeah, and my number is 817-443-7545. You can email me, james@jameswalkerrealty.com. If you're looking for a house, you need some, just kind of want to search around for what's in the market. And if you need a lender, you can go to my website. It's jameswalkerrealty.com. My preferred lender is on my page. Or if you want to, you can stop by text me first and come by my office. I'm on Evans, 1201 Evans Avenue, Suite 202, Fort Worth, Texas, 76104.
All right, good deal. Well, James, man, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me. I could talk to you for hours and hours, but man, I'm looking forward to seeing your your development projects come to life. I'm looking forward to us even collaborating on some things. So man, thank you again. And so again, this is the Emerge webinar where we talk to investors, residential and commercial investors, about real estate, about finance, about investment strategies, investment opportunities, how to just leverage this thing called real estate. So thank you guys again for tuning in. James, wish you so much success, man, and have a great evening. All right.
All right. You too, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, James. Thanks.
All right. Have a nice night.
All right. Bye.